Of course it is. And do you blame, Santo, when you've got a sporting director coming in and probably not giving you a say on any players that you're bringing in? What do you expect as a manager? And if you speak to the older generation of managers, they'll say, what? Someone's telling me what players are coming in, and then I'm going to get judged.
That is the way of the world now, though.
I know, but then is that fair as a manager? Like we said in previous shows, sporting directors should be coming on and doing press. You're the one bringing in the players. The manager's doing the best they can with these players. They might have wanted 10 other players that you have said no to. Some of the players that they brought in Nottingham Forest, Douglas Luiz on loan didn't work. Zinchenko on loan didn't work. Amari Hutchinson, 37.5 million. Only one Premier League goal in 22 appearances. McAtee, 30 million. Hasn't worked. Ndoye hasn't worked. Bakwa hasn't worked.
What's your club or country's sliding doors moment? Its meaning originating from the 1998 rom-com of the same name, a sliding doors moment in football terms is simply a question of what might have been. An incident in a game where, had it gone the other way, would have altered history. For example, say John Terry had scored that penalty in Moscow in 2008. Chelsea would have been European champions and Avram Grant would have the biggest medal in continental club football to his name. It stands to reason then that he would have stayed at Stamford Bridge for a bit longer, meaning that Luis Felipe Scolari wouldn't have got a look in. Would he have done better than the World Cup winning Brazilian, who only lasted till February the following year? And could he have improved upon Chelsea's third place finish? And as for United, who won the title that season, would defeats in that Moscow final have led to Cristiano Ronaldo leaving the club for Real Madrid a year earlier? And would that have meant that Rafa Benitez's Liverpool won the Premier League instead of them? That's a pretty big butterfly effect, all from one missed penalty kick going the other way. And if you want to dig a bit deeper, there's plenty more that could have been affected. What if Anthony Knockaert had scored his penalty against Watford? We'd have been denied the Troy Deeney moment, sure, but might Leicester have gone on to win promotion to the Premier League earlier than scheduled? And would that have meant that Claudio Ranieri would never make it to the King Power? Would Arsenal or Tottenham, therefore, have been champions in 2016? The most significant sliding doors moment perhaps ever, though, was Paul Gascoigne, Wembley, June 1996. What if this had gone in? That golden goal would have sent England to the Euro 96 final against Czech Republic. 30 years of hurt could well have come to an end. There's so many of these moments that could have altered destiny forever. What if Shearer had signed for United? Would Lampard's ghost goal against Germany have kick-started England's World Cup back in 2010? What if Sam Allardyce didn't get bogged down in all that controversy and denied Gareth Southgate the England job? Does make you think.
Good morning. Welcome along to Sunday Edition, where you're in the company of myself, Shaun, Custis, and Henry Winter. Shambles, shambles, shambles. What else can you call the England rugby team's miserable Six Nations campaign, which reached a new low yesterday with defeat in Italy? How on earth is coach Steve Borthwick still in a job? Two coaches marching on Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola in the FA Cup, both still in line to win a quadruple. Two of our guests this morning are very much part of the famous Old Trophy story this season. Mansfield CEO Carolyn Radford, who gave Arsenal a real scare yesterday, and Port Vale's owner Carol Shanahan, whose League One strugglers host Sunderland this afternoon. It's Cheltenham Week 2, and top trainer Ben Pauling will be with us to look ahead to a cracking festival. And during the night, George Russell got his F1 campaign off to the perfect start with victory in the Aussie Grand Prix. 5 British drivers were in the top 8. We want to hear from you on all the main talking points from the weekend's action. Text us on 81089 or send us a WhatsApp on 03717 223344. And don't forget, we want your WhatsApp voice notes, so get involved. We're live on YouTube and your smart TV. Just search talksport.com/watch for more details. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT. Morning, Henry. What are you laughing about?
Good morning. I'm just laughing at you, complaining about the heat in here for a man who's always on holiday. You're always rushing off to the sun. It was Lanzarote last week.
It's really, well, week before.
Week before.
Seems an awful long time ago now. No. I went to Spurs on Thursday. That's no holiday going to Spurs, trust me.
We used to call it White Hot Lane, but we can't even do that anymore, can we?
It was terrible. But
who do you blame?
It was... who do I blame?
You weren't on a corporate jolly. This was
yes, obviously I was. Yeah,
I know you were on a jolly, but this was a friend's box. So
yeah. But I mean, I'd gone to the last game of Thomas Frank, and you could see that it had all gone. The fans weren't having them. The players still weren't having him. This time, because so many seemed to leave at half time or stay in the bars or whatever, the atmosphere was slightly muted compared to that. I almost like they've given up.
But they were booing, but they were halfway to Seven Sisters.
They were booing. And
at what point do they
given up? It's got to be the players.
Yeah,
I mean, the players
absolutely.
are blank. I mean, whether you love Igor or not, the players are blanking him the same way they were blanking Thomas Frank.
Yeah.
So I blame the players.
And you look at those players, as you would say, they're good players in there, and they will have big clubs coming in for them in the summer if they do drop down, and they're the ones who are going to have to fight and get out of this mess.
Got professional pride as well, though, surely.
But they're not showing it. Where is it? Apart from Archie Gray, who I thought was
I knew
was
you'd say that. Archie Gray.
Well, I say it because he's good. But sorry, you were there. You weren't impressed with Archie Gray?
He was all right. But
all right.
I don't think we're there yet. Whether Archie Gray is one of the greatest young footballers in the Premier League.
We're not saying that, and we're going to get onto Max Dowman later across North London. But Archie Gray, in terms of someone who is fighting for the shirt, which is the very minimum that fans expect, particularly as these players are well paid. Look, he's not elite level, despite his, the great blood he's in the
But you get the fake sort of I'm playing for the shirt, like the Pedro Porro kicking the seat.
There is nothing fake about Archie Gray. Anyone who's coached him, and I was tweeting about him the other day, and I had some of his early coaches saying, absolute top lad off the pitch, committed on it.
I'm not disputing that.
He's not the problem.
Over the top about.
I'm not over the top. I'm just sort of using him to say that more experienced, better known, probably more talented players at Tottenham Hotspur should be looking at this kid and following his example, because there are very few leaders throughout that club, particularly in you can say in the dugout, particularly on the pitch. Look, I don't know why I'm angry about it. You were there. Were you just sort of...
I wasn't angry. I don't care about Spurs.
You don't care?
No, I'm not bothered about. I'm not bothered about whether they're up or down. I'm just interested in the story. However, I am bothered about the shambles that is the England rugby team, and you've got to say the headlines everywhere. I mean, just scathing, aren't they?
The team almost get a good old-fashioned tabloid broadsheet.
Well, it's not just
England. I added that because I knew your thermometer was going to explode again. Something I learned from Brian Woolnough many years ago. I mean,
something must be done, as Willie would say.
Something must be done, and he is right. But what do we do about England, the rugby team? England hit historic low. Sunday Telegraph, Sunday Times, rock bottom. England lose to Italy for first time ever as the wheels come off. Hold it up.
Yeah.
Page of shame, and let's continue. Absolutely paraphrasing what you were saying earlier on.
Yeah.
Shambolic. England hit new lows, Borthwick's bumbling, ill-disciplined side. Was they got 2 in the sin bins?
That's been a feature, hasn't it?
Yeah, it
of
has.
This campaign.
It has. Suffered third defeat on the spin. And what's been interesting is that the picture that they all use, again, I'll hold up the Mail on Sunday, is Itoje leading his vanquished players through the line of Italians.
And also, as the captain, he was at fault as well because he got a yellow card. He's got to take a lot of the blame. Nothing, to be fair, he did front up and did take
loads of good pieces, as you would expect. Sir Clive Woodward, obviously, is the former England manager. His piece inside the
unforgivable, and I'm furious.
Yeah,
this was totally embarrassing.
And they got the red ink out for embarrassing as well.
Red ink, yes,
which makes the headline even stronger.
I keep showing these things on here.
Unforgivable and unfurious. This was totally embarrassing. Yeah, so they get a good kicking. As a sports editor of the country's leading tabloid, where are you on Borthwick? Because if that was in England,
I think. As I said,
you're saying out?
Well,
has he got to go?
As we always say, no football manager would survive that. Even if you've had a great 12-match winning streak, as he had, he's lost. What's he lost? 4 in 3 weeks.
Yep. Is it 4? 3, because he won the first, didn't he? Yeah. He won the first, and it was all rah rah England, march on. It's going to be the decider against France, Stade de France.
But this has been. It isn't helped, is it, by being down to 14 men and 13 men all the time? But that's indiscipline. Sort it out.
Yeah, exactly. So, will you be calling for his head?
We'll be suggesting it has to be thought about, I think, today.
That's a bit wishy-washy for you. You're normally
off with his head.
Off with his head.
Off with his head.
That's an Igor Tudor reign, that
one. It is.
One for the history students.
Anyway,
so
you're fascinated by the fact Arsenal are still on for the quad.
Well, Manchester City,
of course, Man City, but for a lot of the first editions of the papers, Man City Newcastle wasn't in.
No
papers. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. The quad squad. Arsenal back page of the Sport on Sunday. Quad bids on max power. I quite like that. The fact that they dovetailed the 2 of the main Arsenal lines from Mansfield 1, Arsenal 2, and Mansfield were
very good.
Excellent. They were excellent. I mean, the way they played, the fans, the sport. Carolyn will be on later talking about her pride in the club. But that headline, the quad bid. I mean, it's too early to talk about that, even though they're still on course for it. But actually, it's a magnificent 7 that they're on for, because you then go on to the Community Shield. You then go on to the Super Cup if you're continuing to win these things. And then also, if your coefficients are good enough over a 4-year period, and Arsenal will still need to improve that in the Champions League, you go for the wretched but very lucrative Club World Cup.
But not.
No, but that's the next one. But in terms of, there's an element of qualifying by doing so well in the Champions League. And look, Max Dowman was absolutely outstanding. The max power element, 16. And
we'll be talking a bit more about him
and absolutely. Look, everyone's talking about.
Just quickly, there's quite a bit of Harry Redknapp around in the papers. I see him on the
back page of the Sunday Mirror. Can I just do that? Harry's up for Gold Cup, Cheltenham Festival special, and then of course, as you always say, everything comes back to football. And Spurs need him back. Andy Dunn, who's always a great read. Yeah. See pages 62 and 63. Why Spurs need Harry Redknapp back? Do you think that's going to happen?
Do you know what? I thought it was a ridiculous suggestion 3 or 4 weeks ago. I thought, here we go, Harry saying, I want to come back. Now you start to wonder.
Is there an issue of timing, though? Not necessarily going into the international break, but going into Cheltenham.
Well, he wouldn't want to do it this week, yeah. You're quite right. He wouldn't want to do it this week. But there's some lots of interviews with Harry, including in our paper.
You've done a great one,
yeah, it's really good with Jack Keane. David Walsh has done one. Yeah. The Mirror are cheating a bit because they haven't actually done one with Harry. They've used an old quote about.
It's a bit narky of you.
Yeah. Anyway,
is that because you're annoyed? Because Harry's normally.
No. I mean, Harry talks to all sorts of people, doesn't he? He talks to everybody. That's what's great about him. But he gives each different paper a different anecdotes, and different stories. But he loves this week, and we will have his trainer Ben Pauling.
Very quickly, I've hosted a couple of events with Harry Redknapp, and it's the easiest event in the world because you just ask 4 questions. Bobby Moore, the greatest. Rio Ferdinand, outstanding. Frank Lampard, outstanding. We disappointed he didn't get the England job. And he talks for an hour. I mean, it's just, and then you just sort of sit back and just admire it.
The strange thing is, you can hear a Harry anecdote, and then you can hear it again a month later, and it's still funny. Yeah. He's got a way of delivering it, which still makes you laugh, even if you've heard it. So good luck to Harry in the Gold Cup.
And good luck to him if he goes back to Tottenham.
Yeah. Coming up next on Sunday Edition, we'll look at the big talking points from yesterday's FA Cup action here on talkSPORT.
So it makes it more interesting, I think, Simon, for fans of other clubs. That's the bottom line. Yeah. If it was all to finish today and this was in operation now,
you'd go way down to 17th of Norwich in the league, having a chance to get into the 8th spot. That's what you do.
Right.
You take 60. You take
it opens up. Yeah.
You take 66% of the league as it sits now. 18 clubs in this league could have a reasonable shout to make a claim for getting 8th spot, because there's 11 games to go in the conventional season. There's 6 points between Derby in 8th and Norwich in 17th.
Right.
And those games, and when you get running at the business end of a season, it really does change the dynamics of how people play. All of a sudden, you've got 66% of the league having something involved. Then you've got the other 25%, or 35%, sorry, sort of going to the Gabby Bongle arithmetic school, the other 34%, which would be fighting for not staying in the division. So you've got constant jeopardy in a league, which actually reminded me when I was over in America looking at the MLS and how they construct their leagues and how many teams get an opportunity to play in their playoffs and participate in outcomes for themselves. They have something like 60 or 70% of the teams in a league any given season that could feature in a playoff scenario.
Right.
So it's all
Does
about...
it affect the quality? There's a message coming through there. You're telling me that 8th could end up going to the Premier League. Surely, that ain't good in terms of the quality of the club that's going to go up.
There's nip and tuck. More often than not, when you finish 6th in the league, and we went up as a team that finished 6th, there was the points total. I think West Ham finished behind us and Wigan finished behind us in the league, and they were like a point difference. So tell me there's a point difference between 6th and 8th. Pack it in.
Winter, right-footed, blasts it into the top right-hand corner, and Arsenal are back ahead. In towards Moore, and it in! At the back post! It's 3-3! Bedlam in North Wales! The 10 men have done it against Chelsea in extra time! Oh, VAR's checking it for a potential offside, and the referee signals here that the goal is indeed ruled out. He shoots and seals it for Chelsea. João Pedro rolls it home. Chelsea have the final word, and they are into the quarter-finals of the FA Cup by the skin of their teeth.
Here's Mamouche, first time shot, brilliant goal. Omar Mamouche has probably won this cup tie for Manchester City, and it is Manchester City who make their way into the quarter-finals of the FA Cup.
Yep, that's how the FA Cup sounded on talkSPORT. We're going to rattle through those 3 games yesterday. Mansfield 1, Arsenal 2, with Madwake and Eze with the goals for Arsenal, and Evans with the goal for Mansfield. And afterwards, Mikel Arteta gave his thoughts on the win to talkSPORT.
I'm delighted. It was a proper FA Cup game. To respect the history of this competition, you have to really enjoy coming to these kind of grounds, opposition, and especially the crowds, which I think they were fabulous. They made the game very, very interesting, very intense, a bit of banter, which I think is necessary as well when you play the competition. And yeah, credit to Nigel and the team, because they made it really hard for us.
We'll discuss Mansfield in some detail with Carolyn Radford when she comes on after 9:30. But just quick on Arsenal, Henry. A couple of very young youngsters playing for Arsenal yesterday, and you want to focus on one in particular.
Yeah, Max Dowman. I mean, Arsenal fans have been raving about this kid for a while. Hale Lane Academy kid, came through, got an injury earlier in the season. He's now finding his way back in, and at 16 he looks fearless. I mean, people say, well, it's only Mansfield. First, that's disrespectful for Mansfield in terms of the way they played, but also you saw in the first 5 minutes is that he could withstand the physical element of the game in terms of stamina and in terms of the knocks and bruises that you pick up inevitably in a cup tie. And also he could play on a pitch like that. I mean, it wasn't the worst pitch. I mean, when we started going to games in the 70s,
you don't see those.
They were ploughed fields. They all looked like they'd had the Horse of the Year show on them. But no, I thought he was outstanding. He's one of those players who just sort of floats with the ball. He's just everything about him in terms of, look, he's still got, he's still learning and all that, but he's an absolute star. And it's interesting, where is his best position? Does he put pressure on Odegaard? Odegaard is a very popular captain, important player for Arteta. Anyway, look, it's exciting to see young players coming through like that.
Another 10, number 10 for you to shoehorn into the England squad.
Yeah, but he can actually pick up the ball deeper. I mean, I take your point about 10s, and England have got so many of them. But yeah, look, what a fabulous talent. And that point that Arteta was making about the sort of bit of banter, I mean, Eberechi Eze was getting a little bit of stick from the Mansfield fans, and he smiled. It's a point that Andy Dunn makes in his match report in the Sunday Mirror. He smiled back at them and they applauded him, and it just seems so pretty respectful towards the end, because you have to respect class. And also, given the debate about Arsenal's obsession with set pieces, there were 2 quite nice goals from excellent play.
They certainly were. Wrexham 2, Chelsea 4. 2 goals in extra time, enough for Chelsea to progress. Henry would have been thrilled by this because they had VAR, denying Wrexham the chance of a fairy tale, getting a goal ruled out and getting somebody sent off when he'd only got a yellow card previously.
Yeah, I think the thing about...
You'll be delighted
I think the thing about VAR, as I've been banging on from the start of VAR, is got to be used shrewdly. And unfortunately, we've had a bit of mission creep. They've gone far too forensic on it. But I think if you get back to what everyone really wanted, which was to overturn miscarriages of justice on the football pitch, the hand of God, Thierry Henry's double ball against. Yeah. Anyway,
robbed us of a fairy tale after the game.
But hang on a sec. Sorry, that was a naughty challenge. You say, well, it's only yellow. Dobson.
Yeah, it wasn't a great challenge. I agree with you.
Red card?
It probably was.
So VAR helped.
Yeah, it's a shame though. And after the game, Chelsea boss Liam Rosenior was asked if he'd made too many changes to his squad.
No, I trust my squad. We've got good players on the pitch. Whether you put the team that regularly plays in the Premier League or you make changes, these games are so difficult. Not just before today, I watched Mansfield against Arsenal, how well Mansfield plays. This is why everybody loves the FA Cup. All of these games are so difficult because the teams are so motivated, they're so good. And Wrexham showed exactly why they're pushing to make the Premier League.
So Chelsea squeaked through there. The little drama along the way. Newcastle 1, Man City 3. Sadly, I think most Newcastle fans were probably expecting that. City bounced back after that draw at home to Forest in the league on Wednesday. But one of the things that people are noticing is Pep seems to have gone a bit wild at the moment. He got another yellow card yesterday. That's 6 yellow cards, which means he's banned for 2 games from the touchline. And things really seem to be eating him. I mean, there's this challenge by Trippier, which was barely a foul, that set him off on one. What do you think's getting to him?
Well, first, I quite like animated managers in the dugout. I think
so. You applaud managers abusing officials and getting yellow cards and being sent to the stands.
Absolutely hate all that. No, you're the one who's been
you like that.
You've been the one undermining officials by saying we don't need VAR.
You've just said you admire what Pep did.
No, I said I admire someone being animated and emotionally engaged in games. I think that's good. Fans like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything eating away at him. Shouldn't be with the team that he's assembling there. I think it's good. Well, that he is involved like that. I would be more annoyed from your perspective the fact that you've got a game on Tuesday. Okay, it's a home game in the Champions League, and you played late?
Well, exactly. But Pep was moaning about that anyway from his point of view. But I know. Yeah, you don't get any help.
But City play on the Wednesday, don't they?
Yeah, but he still wasn't up.
He's right. But I mean, Eddie Howe's got even more reason to complain, and you should be supporting Eddie Howe because it's right.
I am supporting Eddie Howe.
Have you got a campaign in your paper on this? Because it's
the campaign about this is always because obviously they're getting help in France, for instance. PSG.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cancel the weekend. We don't get any help. Who's going to help poor old us?
Poor Newcastle. Well, that's right. Well, you've got to stand up for them. You've got.
I'm standing up. I'm saying really. I think it's.
You're sitting down and squeaking. You should
anyway,
be having campaigns.
Meanwhile, you're standing up for managers abusing officials. However, that's it. Newcastle 1, Man City 3. We're out. Man City march on. Both them and Arsenal trying to get the quad. This is Sunday edition on talkSPORT. And next up, Mansfield Town CEO Carolyn Radford joins us to look back at a remarkable FA Cup campaign.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The football club. It's unbelievable. The people in charge of this football club. One of the biggest clubs in the world. And an absolute mockery. We're a mockery of a football club that we've allowed this to happen.
Are you going down?
And the fans have had to accept it.
You're going down.
Jace, shut up. Don't ask me again. Seriously. Like, I'm trying to do a show here. I'm trying to have a say. And you're going to sit there and just try and mug me off for 2 hours. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it.
That's a question. No problem with me. It's not my fault you got beat tonight, is it? I wasn't playing centre half.
It's so bad.
There's no point up, Jake. Don't have a pop at me, mate. Right?
I'll have a pop at you if you're trying to mug me off.
No, I'm not mugging you off. I'm asking you. It's a simple question. Are you going down? Are you?
I can't do 2 hours with you, Jace, if you're just going to be an idiot. I mean, how can I take you seriously? You've got an Ange mask on and a clown mask.
What about 3 hours?
I can't do 2 hours of calls with you. I can't do it. Just please.
It's not my fault. You're rubbish.
Please, for me, don't ask me that question again. All right, just because.
What question?
All right, look. I want to hear from Spurs fans. It's obviously a shocking. I'm genuinely crestfallen. Genuinely crestfallen. It's the worst I've ever felt.
Do you think you're going down? No, it's a different question this time.
Well, how's it a different question?
I said, are you going down? Or do you think you're going down? Do you think you're going down?
biggest FA Cup tie that Field Mill has seen in more than a half century. It's Reed through a crowd.
Good play there from Mansfield again.
Straight for Damon, making his way forward, and Roberts redeems himself with a save in a one-on-one.
So far, he's been Arsenal's best player for me.
Left-hand side of the box, left-footed effort, screaming goal from Noni Madueke, who's curved it into the top right-hand corner. It's Mansfield 0, Arsenal 1. And now he's running towards the edge of the area. Evans, 1-1.
Really good finish to that bottom corner. Game on.
Now Eza, right-footed, blasts it into the top right-hand corner. And Arsenal are back ahead full time. And Arsenal have got it done through to the quarterfinals. And they've seen off the challenger Mansfield by 2-1. The quadruple dream lives on.
Yeah, they were the highlights from Mansfield v Arsenal yesterday. We're still looking for Carol Radford, so in the meantime, Henry's going to tell us all about the magic of the cup, which that certainly was yesterday. The pitch, they were watering the pitch as well, apparently, and it was a difficult pitch to play on, I think we'd agree. A great leveller, they call it, don't they?
A great leveller, but you look at Nigel Clough's team, they tend to like to get the ball down and pass. I thought that was a dramatic moment when they equalised. Will Evans, I mean, it was a mix-up in the Arsenal defence.
Great finish, though.
It was a great finish. I mean, talking of 16-year-olds, Morris Salmon at right back, coming in for, I think, his first start. I mean, he's very new to this, and actually he'd played well until then, and then he probably slightly underhit his pass to Mosquera, who actually, for a good player, but he did not have a good game, and that was actually a huge, compliment to Mansfield, and also the fact that Arsenal had to bring on players like Eberechi and players like that of that substance. But I just think everyone sort of writes off the FA Cup, but football's resilience.
Does everyone write off the FA Cup?
Not everyone. That's a slight exaggeration. But actually, the media, and I hate to sort of pat you on the back, but actually I think the newspapers, radio coverage, TV coverage, absolutely everyone's up for the cup. Maybe it's kind of like our age group. It was the cup was so important because it was how many games were actually on, how many competitions would you actually get to see and listen to growing up. But the cup still matters. Now, I take Nigel Clough's point. He's got 13 cup finals, and Reading on Tuesday is more important. I get that just in terms of the league position, but it's still special. And it's interesting, the ones at the top, and I was doing the maths last night, and people were talking about Arne Slot, and is the FA Cup even more important for him? For teams like that, for managers like him, and particularly for owners, and a lot of American owners in particular, it is all about finishing in the top 5 positions for the Champions League because it's 100 million quid. But I still think for fans, for the media, probably for some of the players as well, the FA Cup still resonates.
Everybody was patting Nigel Clough on the back yesterday, saying, yeah, great effort, well done, you pushed them, you must be delighted with that. And he was actually saying in his interview, part of me thinks we may have just missed a chance there because we had the moments and they had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, the changes that Arteta made, 3 at the back, I mean, it just didn't, they looked a little bit concerned. Calafiore got injured as well, which is another frustration. And he had to bring Hincapié on, who's probably been one of their top 5 players, certainly in the last few months. But yeah, I mean, Nigel just has to take huge pride from the way his players played, his tactics, the recruitment, everything around the club. And look, it's so important because we are a bit fixated with the Premier League, with the top 6. And the Cup is just a reminder of football, how obsessed it is, how it obsesses people throughout the country. And it is vital, particularly at a time when, I know your eyes glaze over, but the Premier League is being slow for certain reasons, certain individuals, in terms of coming up with, they call it the new deal, although it's going to be an old deal, which is about the redistribution of television money. And if you look at a lot of these clubs in the EFL, and when we go into the World Cup, how many players, probably 3/4 of the players, through loan periods, through playing in the League Cup, through coming through academies in the EFL, the elite clubs and England, the national team, have a debt to the EFL. So I always, when I look at the FA Cup, and I see these sort of games between the elite and they're more on today, and the EFL clubs. It's really important just to. I can remember when Exeter fans went to Old Trafford. I think they had the replay a few years back, and all the United fans were singing, "You've only come to see United," and the Exeter fans, 5,000, immediately sang back, "We've only come for your money." Because it is really important. So the financial, emotional, and all those reasons, the cup matters.
Exeter still brings me out in a cold sweat. They once knocked us out of the FA Cup. The old St James's Park double, that one. Went to a draw and
different apostrophe?
Was there a different apostrophe? Oh, you're getting a bit technical there. But they did. I can't remember. Was it 84? Something like that. We got knocked out.
Were you there?
Yep. And it was hard to take, that one. It's been Nigel Clough is one of the great lower league managers, but he's never really had the opportunity to hire, and he's done great things with Burton, he's done great things with Mansfield, bringing them back from non-league up to here, and Burton got promotion as well. Why do you think it hasn't been possible for him to get higher?
I've talked to him down the years, and that's a question you always throw at him, and many journalists have thrown at him, and the obvious underlying element to that question is, was it because of your dad? Because Brian was just such an incredible elite manager in English football and European, and whether there was any element of that, whether he felt that if he stepped up there that he wouldn't be able to live with his father's legacy. I mean, that's quite a sort of deep psychological question. And maybe there was an element of, he's always liked the family, the kids, all that element, the dog. I love that dog. I had to look after the dog in one press conference one. Actually, he was a brilliant dog. As Louis Reed was talking about last week, they were taking the dog. Sorry, Lewis. Yes, yeah. So I've gone all European on you because you're heading into Europe. But yeah, I mean, all that element of, that is Nigel. He's a really impressive individual. But, when you've got a famous father like that, living up to that legacy, whereas maybe there's an element of he can actually be himself and he can be Nigel Clough rather than son of.
Yeah, he's doing a great job in with Mansfield as well. And hopefully, from his point of view, they stay up, because it's a big thing for them to stay up, ground development and stuff like that, which is important.
I mean, the Radfords have done brilliantly there.
They have, and establishing themselves in League One is important. We've had a fair few texts and WhatsApps coming in this morning. Wish I had a name on.
You're going to read out the ones.
I wish I had a name on this one, because it says, "Morning, fellas, great show. Why are we continuing with VAR if it will never be implemented at every level? The National League and the leagues below them will never have VAR, nor will the lower leagues in Scotland and Wales. We're driving a bigger divide in the levels of football in this country."
I mean, I think it's an interesting point, particularly from a sporting integrity point. If you start a competition with one set of rules, you're effectively changing them halfway through.
I think it's...
And certain teams are more used to it, and certain sets of supports aren't used to it. And you could tell the Wrexham fans and their manager, Phil Parkinson, what they thought of it, regardless of how you agree on the decisions or not, the fact that VAR was involved. But look, it's here to stay. Let's ask someone who knows.
Let us ask someone who knows. Carolyn Radford, we found her, joins us now. Carolyn, good morning.
Good morning. Hi. Sorry, I've been making porridge and kids and everything else, back down to earth after yesterday.
But what a day it was. Look, we don't want to be patronising, because Nigel Clough himself said he thought you'd missed a chance possibly to pull off one of the great FA Cup shocks. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, I did. John, we just take this dog out. Seriously, sorry about that.
There's always a dog in these stories, isn't there?
We could. It was a really close game. I thought we did really well. I thought the boys gave everything. And I thought Arsenal were very respectful, but I think we did cause a little bit of upset. It wasn't, we didn't make it easy for them for sure. And it was always that little, could we? It was margins, in my opinion, but unfortunately, we're out. But ball number 5 tonight, we'll be rooting for Arsenal.
It was a very big day for yesterday, but as Henry was making a point with us earlier on, that sort of FA Cup run for you is very, very important. Ground development, which you're overseeing, and to establishing yourselves as a club at a higher level. This sort of thing helps along the way.
Yeah, it does massively. I mean, it puts visibility to Mansfield, which is an area that is kind of largely forgotten, amongst the whole Nottingham club structure. But it's not just that. It just lifts the vibrancy of everything. Everyone was. I mean, there was some absolute superstars in Mansfield yesterday. And the quality of players there. The manager but Arsenal, as I said, they were such a professional outfit, and they were so kind to us behind the scenes in every way. And our boys were thrilled, obviously, to be meeting some of their heroes at a football level. And the town itself was rocking. All the pubs, the restaurants. I think even though we lost, we all had a great day. And as you said, financially, it helps push us forward for this season, certainly. And I think it helps lift the footballers themselves because, they know that they can compete with some of the best players in the world, really. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're safe this season. And you never know, in the league as well, we might make a push for the playoffs. But it's certainly... That's the beauty of the FA Cup, that things like this can happen.
Karen, so why is Nigel so good?
Well, where do I begin? He's very easy to work with. He certainly knows his football inside out. He's an incredible man. He's got integrity, principles, and his values are very aligned with John and I's. He's, and he says it as it is as well. He's played at the highest level, competed in these competitions, and he's not afraid to tell a ref when he thinks that they might have done something wrong. Even though we didn't go to VAR yesterday, so I was a bit disappointed about that because that was such a pain to set up. To say, behind the scenes. But Nigel is just, he's been a huge part of our journey over the past nearly 16 years at the football club. We've worked with, as you know, some fantastic managers as well in the past that we really respect. And Nigel's up there, and we hope he'll be the longest serving manager in the football pyramid. Certainly, we hope he doesn't go anywhere.
You look at the financial disparity between the benches, the first 11s, the clubs. Where are we? You're very much embedded in the EFL, but where are we in terms of the Premier League, the so-called New Deal, and the redistribution of Premier League money into the EFL?
Yeah, I think we're where we were when we spoke last time. I'm not sure much has moved on. But I mean, the wealth that is flowing around the top echelons of football is phenomenal. I mean, in our programme, I was kind of like, why did our media guy include all of these figures? Because, because we obviously try and keep our budget within the limits and the constraints that are put upon us. But yeah, we've had some correspondence from the football regulator. They're trying to understand how the whole system works, which might take a bit of time. But checks and balances are brilliant. You don't want football clubs as not a plaything. And days like yesterday, we are the real deal. My husband's from Mansfield. We're not putting on a Hollywood show. We are who we are. As I said, I've just been making crumpets and porridge in the kitchen. I'm juggling a lot of things. We have our businesses and the football club, and we try our best in our hearts in the community, which a lot of football clubs, I feel, have lost that because of the huge amounts of money that are involved.
Carolyn, you and your husband John, you've been involved since 2011 maybe, so it's been a 15-year project so far. It takes a lot of time just to get where you've got to, which is good. But what is the ultimate, do you feel, for Mansfield?
John's always said the championship, and we've knocked on the doors a few times. But what we've done is put the building blocks beforehand in place. So it hasn't been an overnight story whatsoever. We very much want it. For us, it's more of a community asset. So I really enjoy seeing all the families coming to the ground, and obviously it's International Women's Day, but it's great to have the whole families having somewhere to go on a Saturday afternoon, getting out the house and going to watch a football match, whether you are a football, you know every stat in Premier League and League, whichever, if you're a football guru or not, if you just want to go and sit and watch an entertaining match of football, win, lose or draw. And yeah, it's... yeah, football it's just a magical industry, but also drives you mad.
You got a bit of both yesterday, maybe. Karen Radford, thank you very much for joining us in the end. Glad you enjoyed the day yesterday. Good luck for the rest of the season. Back to the porridge.
So much, I know. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Brilliant. Great to talk to Karen. We had her in the studio before, and she's very entertaining. Loves the job of running Mansfield, but recognise, there's a lot of work they have to do and balancing businesses as well.
Yeah, they're a great community club. I mean, the work they did during COVID and since then is fantastic.
This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT, and if we can squeeze it in, next up is our Sunday Edition feature, Best of the Best.
I've got lots of Tottenham mates, and
mate,
they're devastated. They can't watch. They said I couldn't watch it last night. I'm not going to watch it. I can't watch it.
Seriously?
Yeah, they're getting to a stage where they're so nervous about going down, which I thought about 3 weeks ago. Oh, they'd be fine.
So did I, mate.
Now, with what I've seen from Forest, what I've seen from West Ham, they're banging it.
Right, I'm the same as you, mate, and I bet you.
Leeds will be looking. Leeds have got to be
looking over their shoulder as well.
Leeds have got. We said, they got Wolves at home now, but Wolves,
they've picked up.
They're flying.
How was that? They played well against Liverpool.
Unbelievable. And they could play them tonight. You're doing the game tonight.
FA Cup, I'm for FA Cup, mate. Well, if like fans of most other clubs, you enjoy what's happening at Spurs right now, and you tune into the sports bar, then last night, by all accounts, was unmissable. I did hear a little bit of it, by the way. Jason was officially playing Keep Me Up with Jamie.
It's a simple question. Are you going down?
Yes.
We are the only team in the Premier League ever to bring in a new manager, to get a new manager bounce, and we get a worse bounce.
Okay, you get a new manager trounce, not bounce.
Like, I'm trying to do a show here, I'm trying to have a say, and you're going to sit there and just try and mug me off for 2 hours. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it.
So dare is to poo.
I'd actually take Big Ange.
Not a
It's got to that point. I would actually take Big Ange. I could do a better job. It is embarrassment. An embarrassment.
You're going down. No, seriously, last time. You're going down.
Shut up! Don't ask me again.
Realistically, it could be Tottenham Lincoln next year.
This is Sunday Edition here on talkSPORT, and don't forget we're live on YouTube or your smart TV, so tune in there to watch the show. Much more to come, and now it's time for this.
One of the greatest tries ever scored, but she won't get there. Kaylee Hodgkinson is the Olympic champion.
Simply the best. I'm going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Oh, Stephen Hermerson, one of the great bulls. Double 12! Oh, my word!
Best of the best on Sunday edition.
I think I'm a special one.
I think he's done it! Yes! You beauty!
Let's be having you!
On talkSPORT.
Yeah, best of the best. Our weekly feature. Henry and I choose a different topic each week and decide what we think is the best. And this morning, in honour of Will Asula's brilliant late winner against Man United on Wednesday night, which feels like a lifetime ago, seeing we've been by Man City.
Great goal.
There. But what a goal it was. We're focusing on the best late winners, and there are some fantastic ones. And Henry's been to most of them. I've been to some of them. We sort of made it. You had to be there, really, is the criterion.
Well, you also then got even more prescriptive in terms of it can't be overseas.
I said it's got to be British team or player.
Yeah.
So go through some of your favourites.
Well, so I couldn't have Dennis Bergkamp for the Dutch against Argentina.
No, you couldn't. No,
I couldn't have Iniesta for Spain against the Dirty Dutch in 2010.
We weren't at Michael Thomas Liverpool for Arsenal in 1989, which is perhaps one of the great late winners.
For grabs now.
But we weren't there. However,
we were. Where do you want to start?
Well,
should we start at Wembley?
Yes, let's start at Wembley.
2013, Ben Watson, FA Cup final, 91st minute. Shaun Maloney swings in a corner for Wigan Athletic against Manchester City. Ben Watson rises, flicked header, and to win the cup, one of the greatest cup upsets, well, probably since Wimbledon against
Left us all stunned.
Left us all stunned, and they then got relegated, Wigan, and not fully recovered, I think it's fair to say.
Who?
Wigan.
Oh, no, Wigan, probably not. But
I think City have recovered.
Well, they did. They didn't recover from that because they relegated that season as well. They couldn't even celebrate winning the cup. I think they had a game in midweek, didn't they?
Arsenal? I
can't remember now.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like I say, you would still swap it. You'd still always want the FA Cup and accept relegation for a team like Wigan. It is their greatest day, isn't it? So right, Ben Watson. We've also got Solskjaer versus Bayern Munich, which you were also at. I wasn't at that one, but you were.
Yeah, Barcelona 99. I mean, Teddy Sheringham. I mean, when people complain about Arsenal corners now, I mean, they were terrific corners that for Manchester United then. Beckham, first one, Sheringham, and then, I mean, the Solskjaer one, Sheringham headed the ball down and Solskjaer from close range. Not an easy match report that night.
No,
I'd already filed 900 words on German
how miserable it was, how they didn't lay a glove on Bayern Munich, and it was all easy for them.
And Ferguson, in one of the subsequent press conferences, did let slip that he'd seen the first editions that came out that night, which had about 50 words on Sheringham and Solskjaer, followed by 950 words on Bayern Munich. I mean, that's what it was all about. I mean, that was just unbelievable, that.
Right, we've got to rattle through these.
Oh, go on then.
Rooney v Arsenal. Brilliant. Kid arrives on the scene, smashes it in for Everton against Arsenal, and he's here, isn't he? 16 and a bit.
Yeah, and
what a shot.
What a shot. I mean, Everton staff probably weren't actually that surprised.
No. You were particularly excited by Lucas Moura for Spurs against Ajax, Champions League semi-final. What an amazing recovery that was by Spurs. You don't get games like that anymore at Spurs.
6th minute of added time. I mean, Lucas Moura just completed his second half hat-trick to get them into the Champions League final against Ajax, obviously an all-English Champions League final against Liverpool, but it was just the scenes when he scored. Obviously a good goal, with the scenes. Pochettino on his knees, in tears, Spurs fans celebrating, Spurs players celebrating, and, well, look at what's happened to them since, because they didn't invest after that Champions League.
That's a whole new other subject. Yep. And there's only one place to finish.
Yep.
Aguero! Is there?
Yeah, Manchester City against...
What an amazing day that was. To be at that was just...
And added, I mean, I was there and in the front row of the press box, and the City fans in the row in front were... I mean, there was a lady who just turned round. She just couldn't watch that added time. She was just so nervous, and she was looking at me going, what's happening? And she knew, because I was looking to the left where all the drama was in the QPR box. Obviously had the Dzeko headed equaliser, 92nd minute, and then Mario Balotelli, fair play to him, and then Aguero, just that finish was just... And the champions of England, I had to check this, it was for the first time since 1968.
What was?
And it was the first time they've been champions, Manchester City, since then. So an epic moment for them.
Absolutely amazing. Epic winner that was. Yeah, we'd like to spend more time on that subject, but the FA Cup and Karen Radford, which we're grateful for her turning up after
Caroline.
she sorted Caroline. Yeah, somebody said I called her Karen. I didn't. I called her Caroline.
Yeah.
Definitely. She turned up, we got the porridge sorted out, and we had a great chat with her. So we squeezed in best of the best. Next up, the FA Cup action continues today, and we'll be focusing on Port Vale as they host Sunderland. Their owner, Carol Shanahan, will be with us.
David, good morning, mate. First
Good
of all,
morning,
how are
David.
You? Morning, all. David, here's a quick one for you, mate. I know we're not talking European football. We'll calm everything down. I want to start with this statistic, right, which I would imagine would please you as much as anything. Everton, after reaching the 40-point mark in 28 games, that's only the second time they've done that in 9 seasons. Now, I reckon that in itself is an achievement. But, and I know you'll play it down, you must have a wee thought about European football.
Well, I said right at the start, Coisty, that I said to the players that, we need to try and aim for it and hope that it was possible. In truth, it looked a million miles away, to be honest, at the start. But I have to say, we got off to a pretty good start in the league, and it's given us something to hold on to. We've been up and down, and we're probably just on the outside of European football, if we're honest. But we're not that far away that we couldn't try and make a go of it.
David, obviously the Grealish injury was disappointing, but how happy are you now with the competition for places? Beto and Barry are in great form. You've got McNeil and Dibbling fighting for a spot. NDI and Tyreek George. You've got Branthwaite back as well. The squad's looking more healthy now, isn't it?
It certainly is. I mean, I have to say, Jack was brilliant for us in the early part of the season. He gave us lots of things which we haven't had, and he helped the team greatly. So we've missed him, and we missed him over the middle of the season, middle of December and January, really, when we had also a few injuries as well. But probably no different to other clubs. But we're just beginning to find our feet a little bit again, and the players you mentioned, they're all beginning to step up.
The Lions. Real-life fantasy rugby. Bitter rivalries set aside in a quest to create the world's best team in weeks. There's nothing like it, but who on earth had the idea and how did it all begin? Incredibly, the first Lions tour was organised and funded by 3 men who played in England's first ever Test cricket match. Opening bowler Alfred Shaw, opening batsman Arthur Shrewsbury and captain James Lillywhite. The 1888 Lions squad then, made up of 17 English, 4 Scots and 1 Welshman and a Northern Irishman, took a 46-day boat trip to New Zealand before heading to Australia. The Lions weren't alone on the boat. Also on board were 300 stoats and weasels who were brought over to eliminate New Zealand's rabbit problem. The first ever Lions captain, Robert Seddon, died of drowning midway through the tour while sculling on a river. Andrew Stoddart, who was another of the cricketers there, took over and was the star of the tour. The next one was the first to get official recognition from the RFU against the newly formed Springboks. Although the Lions won the series and beat the Boks again 5 years later, in the 12 series since in South Africa, they've only won 2. New Zealand has proved an even tougher hunting ground, just the 1 series win for the Lions in 11 attempts, which came in 1971. And then there was that nail-shredding drawn series in 2017, only the second in Lions history. Only once have the Lions clinched a series after losing the first test, 1989, when David Campese's infamous ghost pass was pounced upon by Ian Evans. Before World War II, the Lions had a dark blue strip, which on the 1930 tour forced the All Blacks to play in all white. So in 1950, the iconic red shirts, white shorts and blue and green socks combination was born. It remains the symbol of the greatest alliance of adversaries in all of sport. To borrow the phrase from Jim Telfer, the Lions is Everest.
Yeah, this is Sunday edition where we've got an hour left of our programme. Don't forget, at 10:30 we've got top racehorse trainer Ben Pauling with us. He'll be looking ahead to the Cheltenham Festival, where he has one of the favourites for the Gold Cup, the Jukebox Man, which is Harry Redknapp's horse. But we're sticking with the FA Cup for now, and we're looking forward to Port Vale v Sunderland, which is a talkSPORT special presented by Adrian Durham, with commentary from Joe Shanahan and former Aston Villa captain Andy Townsend. Now, Port Vale beat Bristol City 1-0 on Tuesday in the 4th round, and although they're rock bottom of League One, Port Vale, they have a great chance to make some headlines this afternoon. Joining us, Carol Shanahan, Port Vale owner. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning to you both.
Morning, Carol.
Great to see you, Carol. How are you feeling about this today? We had Carolyn Radford on just before, who was saying what a brilliant day it was for Mansfield, how they pushed Arsenal so close, almost with a tinge of regret that they didn't quite beat them. How do you view your game?
I'm very much the same as Carolyn, really, because it's a free hit for us, isn't it? You know, I mean, it's the first time we've got through to the 5th round in 30 years, and it's at home. And, you know, we're going to go and give it our very best shot, and we'll see what we can do.
I did make the point that you're bottom of League One at the moment, but of course the Port Vale story has been about stabilising the club, getting yourselves more involved with the community when you took over, and really cementing things for the future. So, in a sense, does it matter if you're relegated?
It always matters if you're relegated. But I view football, I've always said that football is like snakes and ladders. You know, you throw your dice, you go along, you come across some big ladders, some small ladders, you come across some big snakes and some large little snakes. And relegating is a big snake. and then you go along, and then you come back up the big ladder because you get promoted. Just stay on the board. That's all you've got to do. Stay on the board, and you just take wherever you are. When you get there, you just got to be ready. You've got to be aligned. And the big thing that I think we've grown, or I've tried to grow since 2019 when we came, is having a club that's aligned. Because it wasn't. It was nowhere near. And funnily enough, this morning I just messaged John, my manager, and Matt, my CEO, and said, right, I'm going on talkSPORT. Is there any message you want me to get over? And they both came back and said, well, just say what you're going to say, Carol, because we're aligned anyway.
That's brilliant. And sorry, Carol, I remember when you came in, as you say, in 2019, I mean, you were then going into the COVID period, lockdown, games behind closed doors, and, the whole country came to a standstill. But community clubs like yours, I mean, was it 375,000 hot meals you produced for people in Burslem during that period? So we think of football clubs as headers and volleys and the 11 players on the pitch, but it's so much more than that. And I think what you did, the great work you did throughout the EFL and also the Premier League clubs as well, showed that clubs are more than football clubs.
Yes, and we're still showing that. In every other metric that you want to look at, we are having a phenomenal season. It's just the men's first team league. That's the only thing. The problem is, it's the most important thing, and it's the thing you've got to get right. But if you look at our community stuff, we've had an iftar this week, we've had reading day, book day, International Women's Day. We're in prisons, we're in, we've got children coming in. So we do everybody from antenatal to nearly 100 years old. We're looking after the whole lot, and we are a centre for that in a part of the city that really, really needs it, because it's somewhere that people feel safe to go. And so the community side is absolutely, it's growing, it's developing, it's providing a service that Burslem and Stoke-on-Trent need. Really happy with that. Getting the men's team right. I was in business for a long time, and you do what you can when you go into dips with business to get it right. But I've never had this where you've got to get it right with thousands of people wanting to know what's happening, and you're in that public eye, and you have to really just focus on it, cut out the noise, and just get on with doing what you need to do to win football matches. And that's what we've been doing, and looking at every single element that you can think of and saying, right, is that working? Isn't that working? Because it can be something that you just, you would never have thought of. It's not obvious. And you have to go in and ask the questions and find out. And so we've got a new manager in, John Brady, who I'm so happy with, because he gets it. He gets how we are, what we want to do, how we want to do it. And some of the things I'll say to him I want to do, and which is doing something for the players. He'll go, football clubs don't do that, Carol. And I said, well, Port Vale does, so let's go on and do it. And so that's really where we're at, is trying to get 11 men to win football matches in the league, in the same way as they are doing in the cups. Because if you look in the cups, we've done really well. Arsenal came to us. First time we'd had a sellout for however many years. And I remember at the time we'd made quite a few changes because we got a league match on the Saturday. They hadn't made any. They brought more on as reserves. The value of those players were more than the value of League One and League Two put together. It was ridiculous. It was wonderful and great, and I love it. But, when you look at the overall thing, it's mad that the discrepancy of the Premier League down to the EFL is bonkers.
Carol, you talked a little bit about the contrast with how well you're doing the FA Cup and the fact you're in the basement of League One, you'd like to get it right. But do you get the feeling that all the fans are very much on side with what you're trying to do?
All our fans want is for their team to go out across that white line and for 90 minutes give their all, and to play as the fans would play if they got a chance and they were good enough. And that's what they want. And if they can see that, then they're not happy that we're bottom of the league. Nobody's happy that we're bottom of the league, because we don't think it represents the games we've had. But, you know, you need luck. Luck's a huge part of winning football clubs, and we haven't had that time after time this season. And but the fans, yeah, they're with us, and they make their presence known and they give their views. And Matt Hancock, our CEO, is really good because he gives updates, he meets with them, and does everything that we can do to keep the fans involved. But you can never tell the fans anything. No football club can tell the fans everything. And that's a thing that I think football overall has changed in the time that I've been here, is this almost, and this isn't Port Vale now, this is football, the entitlement and the expectation of fans. Well, we should know, we have a right to know. Well, you can't know, not everything. And it's getting that balance of how open you can be without compromising your club, without, affecting the privacy and all that sort of stuff, and making sure that you're doing the right thing for the club, because that has to be the priority of every decision we make. What is in the best interest of Port Vale Football Club? And if it is that you're not going to know this for a while, then I'm really sorry, but you can't know it. And so it's getting that balance.
Carol, when we see the financial disparity, it's often highlighted just the sort of the starting lineups and the costs of players in FA Cup ties between Premier League clubs and EFL clubs. Does this highlight even more the need for all parties, and particularly the Premier League, to get round the table and to discuss the so-called long-delayed new deal in terms of the redistribution of some of the broadcast money?
100%. Because if we don't do that, and I'm not close enough to the detail to know why we aren't. There's a group of League One owners now who are speaking to each other, which is amazing because I've never known that. That we're all, we come on WhatsApp calls and we actually speak about the problems that we've got, the frustrations we've got, and then you find, and it stops you feeling that it's about yourself, because you feel, hang on, every other club in League One's having the same sort of concerns as we're having, but getting the Premier League to come, and I'm not going to knock the Premier League, I mean it is what it is, but to move that funding down and to bring some equality, down through the leagues. Because when we do get up to, if we at some point get promoted, and we won't do it this season, that is guaranteed. But you don't know what's going to happen afterwards. But when clubs get into the Championship, you've got the parachute payments coming down, that distorts everything, and then you've got clubs going up who are, really sort of scraping stuff together and trying to sell players to bring funds in and what have you. How can that be right? And then you get teams getting 100 points and scoring thousands of goals and going, oh, aren't we great? Well, yeah, because you've got 10 times the money that other people have got, so of course you're great. So how do you bring that parity in? It needs the funds to come down to achieve that.
Sunderland are one of those teams who've made a bit of a comeback from the depths, if you like, back to the Premier League, now having a very good season this season. So how do you think you get on this afternoon?
Who knows?
Oh, come on, Carol, come on, you're going to win, aren't you?
I've been saying that all season. I'm not a great pundit. We will go onto that pitch this afternoon and we will do everything we can to win that match. Whether we do or not depends on so many things, and you both know that. And you're not getting a prediction out of me, that is for sure.
Well, I hope it goes as well as it can this afternoon. Carol Shanahan, Port Vale owner, thank you very much for joining us.
An absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Carol.
And we've had Carol on the show just there. We had Carol and Radford just before that. Two very influential people in football here on Internationals Women's Day. And to mark Internationals Women's Day, talkSPORT has produced a special panel show bringing together some of its most respected on and off-air talent to offer an honest, inspiring and practical guide to being a female in sports media.
If you're watching at home and you're looking to get into the industry, this is the place to be.
When talkSPORT started, that was made for me. It felt like my home. This was where I was meant to be.
There isn't an average day. Every day is different. And it was a radio course and then they failed me. And I was like, Hannah, I'm in radio. do you not think, as a woman, the imposter syndrome, you do sit and think, oh God, have I thought that because I'm a girl and I don't know enough?
If you're good and you work your backside off, you'll be fine. You know, you'll be absolutely fine.
This is a very big industry, but it's also a very small industry, and word travels fast.
You have to hustle. You still, whether you're on air or off air, it's the sort of industry where it's tough.
If there's a job that you want, work your tail off to make sure you're doing it, because if you're not, someone else will be.
Just get on and do it.
So if you've ever wondered how to turn your passion for sport into a career, you can listen to talkSPORT, that special International Women's Day programme hosted by Shaun Ahern, bringing together some of its most respected on and off-air talent to offer that honest, inspiring, practical guide to being a female in sports media. And you can watch the show now on the talkSPORT YouTube channel and the Women's Football page. Next up, we're focusing on the Six Nations.
Let's go to Lauren, who's Arsenal fan. All right, Lauren?
Lauren? Oh, hi, Jamie. Sorry, it's actually Laura, the Arsenal fan.
All right, Laura.
Hi, how are you, boys?
Yeah, we're good. How are you? You feeling good?
Up the Chelsea. Oh, I'm feeling great. I've just come fresh off the back of presenting the Arsenal game on TNT and just, to be honest, really enjoyed it, Jay.
Oh, it's Woodsy.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Woodsy. Woodsy, you've done it.
What's happening?
Woodsy, why is it taking you so long to phone us up?
Do you know what? I've been revelling in a brilliant season and I've just been enjoying myself.
You know what? It's bad if Woodsy's phoning us up. It's bad.
You,
Hold on. Where have you been when you've been bottling it, Woodsy? What's happened? All of a sudden you go 7 points clear and you phone us.
Jamie, I had to scroll down my phone. It took about 5 minutes to find you on the table.
Oh, Woodsy, it's a
scrolling.
Spurs ain't even played and it's the worst night for us ever. I'm like, what is going on?
I don't even want to answer questions. I just want to ask you how you're feeling.
I'm feeling...
Woodsy, take the floor.
Woodsy.
I'll sit back and enjoy it. All right, take the
Woodsy,
floor.
I feel sick. I feel sick as a dog right now, honestly.
How awful is it? How bad on a scale of like 1 to Spurs is it right now?
I can't believe I'm getting stick off Woodsy.
Woodsy, can I ask you...
talkSPORT.
Woodsy, can I ask you a question? Woodsy, do you want Spurs to get relegated?
If I had a choice of which one, is that what you're asking me?
Woodsy, answer whatever way you want, right? Do you want Spurs to get relegated?
No, I absolutely don't want Spurs to get relegated because I want to enjoy more North London derby pummelling for years to come. For years to come.
This is Sunday Edition with me, Shaun Custis, and Henry Winter. We'll look back at England's rugby shocker in Rome in a minute. But the latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is now live. Matt Ford and Lloyd Griffiths speak to former USA keeper Brad Friedel about the impact fans can have supporting you at a World Cup, and also which rival fans are the most intimidating to face. Here's Friedel on why American soccer fans are nowhere near the level of the English and other rival nations.
American fans in all sports, they're different. They're very quiet, and then they expect to be entertained. Whereas the fans in South America, Central America, Mexico, and Europe all go there to support their team and be a catalyst to help the team get a result. And they feel part of the club and part of the fabric and part of everything. Americans, you go to get the Cannon t-shirt, you get, that's launched up into the stands. That is cool. If the halftime show isn't good, you're upset. If it's a different thing. You'll have a small percentage of real diehard fans. And that's every sport. That's NFL, that's Major League Baseball. That's everything. And Americans will go in there and they'll cross their hand, they'll fold their arms, and they'll be like, I'm not being entertained. I think I should have my money back.
That was former USA keeper Brad Friedel on How to Win the World Cup, available now wherever you get your podcasts. He's quite right as well, isn't he?
It's honestly, it's one of the best episodes. I have been on it, yeah. I mean, it's fascinating to hear what he said. They expect to be entertained. I mean, I went and watched an Atlanta game and went to they call the tailgating party, the fans for one. To be fair, those Atlanta fans, they are absolutely committed.
Yeah. They are, but American football fans can take it or leave it, I feel. Anyway, on to the Six Nations. Ireland 27, Wales 17. Ireland made it 3 wins out of 4 games to still be in with a shout at the championship. Scotland, amazing 50-40 win against France. What a try riot that was, ruining France's hopes of a Grand Slam without winning Edinburgh. And former Scotland fullback Chris Patterson joined Weekend Breakfast this morning to discuss Scotland's big win and give his thoughts on boss Gregor Townsend.
Disappointing results in the autumn, but within that, and this sounds pretty crazy, but within that there was really good performances. There was a 17-point comeback. We were 17-0 down against the All Blacks, got back to 17-0, lost to a wonder try from Damien McKenzie in the last few minutes. And you see the result and you think, Scotland, you got in a winning position, you didn't take it. There's a black mark. The following week, I think 21 points up against Argentina and fell to a defeat as well. So you have to be good to score 17 unanswered points against the All Blacks. You have to be good to get 21-0 up against Argentina. But the final hurdle, the composure and the big moments, they didn't go Scotland's way and they didn't get it right. And then you lose the opening game of the Six Nations. I think everybody in rugby knows, Italy are a quality side. It's a difficult place to go. We saw that yesterday. But because Gregor had that pressure going in from the autumn, it almost made everybody's decision within the camp. Say, listen, we have to go down fighting. We're backs against the wall. We're a quality side. Let's just attack. Let's not die wondering. And, through the 3 games since, they've done that.
Brilliant performance by Scotland. However, not so brilliant performance. Italy 23, England 18. Italy's first ever win over England. Let's hear from England boss Steve Borthwick after the defeat.
Steve, where does that defeat leave this England side in your view?
Clearly, we're desperately disappointed to come off the back of the loss day and on the back of 2 other losses, so 3 in a row. After 12 in a row of wins, it clearly is not where we want to be.
Why has it unravelled so quickly, do you think?
A number of elements, and I think you see the team trying to work upon us. Clearly today was a different game to the last 2.
Do you still have faith, Steve, that you're able to lead this team to where you ultimately want to go?
The RFU, myself, so Conor O'Shea, Bill Sweeney, we speak regularly and discuss about the vision of the team going forward, and clearly we've not got the results in those challenges that we wanted to be. They've been very clear in our communication about the vision, the long-term vision of the team. The team's growth over the last period of time, certainly the last 12 months prior to this, has been very, very strong.
Absolutely miserable. Wow. Henry, you once saw a battling performance by an England team at the Stadio Olimpico. This one wasn't.
0-0, 97.
This is football, of course, because everything comes back to football.
Everything comes baugh to football, and it was one of the great performances. Ian Wright up front, Teddy Sheringham playing off him. I mean, they just ran themselves into the ground. Paul Ince obviously had his head cut open, and Gary Lewin, the physio at the time, had to take him down to the dressing room while the game was ongoing. No tactical timeouts in those days, and the dressing room door was locked. So they were screaming at everyone to open up the door and stitch him up and get him back on.
So you would have been disappointed to see the rugby team not put the similar battling performance up.
The one encouraging element was Itoje talking afterwards about player responsibility. We have to own the performance. It's very easy, and I know you will. I know you're wanting to hound Steve Borthwick out in your normal delicate style. Not quite yet, no, but I think because the players have to take responsibility as well.
You think rugby's a bit different, though? If that had been an England football manager, I don't think he'd last.
But is it Borthwick's fault that two of his players got yellow cards?
Well, isn't it? They keep
it's a serial thing.
It's a serial thing, isn't it? They keep committing offences.
So you would pin that on the coach. You would absolve the players of all blame.
No, absolutely not. But most of this Six Nations England campaign has been characterised by that, by yellow cards.
Yeah. But I don't see how...
More time in the bin than on the pitch.
Yeah, but if you are having individual errors, you can't completely pin that on the coach. I think you're being a bit harsh. I understand you've got this campaign going. So you want Borthwick out. And Henry
wanted Southgate out after the World Cup, but he wants Borthwick in. How very strange. There you go. This is Sunday edition on talkSPORT with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. Next up, the Cheltenham Festival gets underway next week, and we'll give you all you need to know ahead of Tuesday.
You're going to see me fight with a lot of passion and ferocity. I think when you're boxing a taller guy who's okay with sneaking a little split decision win or whatever else, you have to go and get him. So I'm looking forward to putting it on the line.
He knows you, you know him. There's a fair bit of mutual respect, is there, Tony?
Definitely. He's a tough fighter. He's someone who never ducked, so I respect that.
I mean, have you had history together before, as in sparring together? I know you were in the Rio
We never
Olympics.
spar. We never spar together. We went to the same Olympic Games, but we never spar. It was to the cruiserweight. It wasn't a cruiserweight.
Yeah. He picked up the bronze medal. You got the gold medal that year. Yeah. So it's an interesting time and an interesting clash. Did you ever think you was going to fight him?
I mean, when he went up to the heavyweight, of course, I was like, okay, maybe I can fight him, and especially because he's in the top 10, so that's a good opportunity.
How important is it getting home advantage as well? Because we was over at the Paris Olympics. You come up and done a piece for us for talkSPORT, actually, which was great. You brought your gold medal. I was hoping to see that today, by the way. But but you brought your gold medal, and it was fantastic. But they love you over there. You were sitting with the president at the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's really great for me to have the opportunity to fight in Paris. I know Frank and George Warren been telling me that they want to build something great in France too. So yeah, let's do it. I'm really, really happy about the fact that I'm going to fight in front of my public.
I mean, winning a gold medal. What has the transition been like, Tony, going from Olympic gold medalist to professional fighter?
It's really tough. It's really tough because it's not the same style of boxing.
We're getting ready. We're about to hear the Cheltenham roar. My goodness me, that's as loud as I've heard it for a long time. We're off and running then at this year's festival.
That is insane! That is insane! Lorcan Williams doesn't know what to do! Oh my goodness, this horse should not even be running in this race!
I love Cheltenham. It is the best of the year.
This is a heartfelt moment.
He produced when I need him at the last, and you know he's a tough animal.
To gallop into Shaun, it's heartbreak, but he wasn't at his best. But I know your way of thinking, he's definitely at his best.
I can't believe it! How has he managed that?
Roared on, huge cheer, ringing around Prestbury Park.
Now yet another winner for Willie Mullins.
You lad is going to get up. He's brave. He's as brave as a lion, and he wins by a length.
Come on.
Yeah, Cheltenham Festival starts on Tuesday, one of the highlights of the sporting year, running through until Friday when it will be Gold Cup Day. Harry Redknapp's horse, the Jukebox Man, is one of the favourites for that Gold Cup. And his trainer is Ben Pauling, who joins us now. Ben, good morning.
Hi, Shaun. How are you?
Very good, thank you, Ben. Have you been out on the gallops this morning?
We have actually, yeah. We had all the horses running for the week ahead, just out for a sort of mosey round, really, to be honest. It wasn't anything extraneous, just a float round one of the fields here, and it was great fun and good to see them all fresh and well.
We talk about the Jukebox Man quite a lot, partly because Harry is such a character who owns that horse, but you also have other horses running in it. How do you approach Cheltenham Week? What sort of preparations do you make? How does it work as you go on through Tuesday to Friday?
Well, to be honest, it's like any other day, really, Shawnee. We've just got to get horses in the best possible form, but obviously there's a bit more pressure because it only comes around once a year, and you've been targeting most of these races for a little while. So I suppose it's just making sure they're in as good a form as they possibly can be, trying to avoid little hiccups and problems along the way, because quite often if you do have a little issue, it's game over for that year at the festival. But the festival does mean a lot to a lot of owners and ourselves in the yard as well. So it's a big week ahead, but sort of just rumbles on, really. You start on Tuesday. It's a very social week as well as a very busy week. And if you can find a winner amongst the horses, it makes it all a lot easier.
There is quite a lot of pressure on, though, isn't there? There's a lot of focus on trainers, owners, jockeys, and your owners clearly expect you to win a few. And of course, this year there's a few questions about the man who usually dominates Cheltenham, Willie Mullins, that his yard may not be in quite the form that it has been in the past, giving the rest of you better chances.
Yeah, no, it's look, I can't comment on anyone else's form. I think in the last week, Willie's probably trained about 15 winners, so I don't think he's too bad. So I don't think we need to worry about Willie's form. He'll turn up with a very strong team. It might not be, hopefully, looking like it's going to be a steamroller effect like it has been in the last few years. And the British contingent seem to have a better bunch of horses that look to be like they're going to be competitive, which is great for the sport. It's great for the industry, and it's obviously brilliant for the British-based trainers to be making hopefully a bit of a resurgence. We've still got to do it, but we're certainly going into the week with a little bit more confidence than we maybe had last year.
Hi, Ben. Ben, you did a piece in Horse and Hound in 2017, reflecting on your time working as assistant trainer to Nicky Henderson. And you said, during my years working for Henderson, I learnt many lessons, but most of all, how to train with patience. Can you sort of expand on that? Is that sort of patience for you, patience for the people and the horses you're working with?
So, yeah, it's patience for the horse, really. Not all horses are going to be superstars. Not all horses are going to have the ability to run at these meetings. Obviously, when we're buying the horses, we're hoping, if you go and try and buy a good individual, a proper horse, you'd like to think it has the ability to be a horse to run at these sort of festivals. But I can assure you, not all of them become that. But quite often, if you go and push a horse before it's ready to be put into these sort of races, then it can actually have a detrimental effect to its further career down the line. You ask too much of a football player at a young age, you put too much pressure on them they don't then fulfil the player they could once become, and that's the same for a racehorse, and that's what Nicky did brilliantly. He only ran horses in races when they should be there, or it was going to benefit them, but they had to be mentally and physically ready, and that's the patience he shows, not just with Cheltenham, but the way he trained horses throughout the whole year. It was a joy to watch and a great place to learn, to be honest.
You were one of the stars of our Sun panel earlier in the week, and where we were doing our Cheltenham preview night, and I'm struck by what you mentioned there. You give a great deal of credit to Nicky Henderson for how your career's progressed when you went out on your own. I've been down to your yard. It's absolutely amazing. You've developed it superbly, and you wanted to strike out on your own. But how much of an influence did he have on your career?
I think, you go to one of the, let's be honest, one of the best trainers we've had in this country of a jumps horse ever. So if you go there to learn, why not learn and actually watch what he does and try and bring a lot of it with you. I mean, obviously there's things I do differently, but the majority of the way I train, I'd like to think would have a little bit of a sort of edge that he probably has instilled in me. It's been 13 years now since I worked for Nicky, and you can forget a lot in 13 years, and you obviously then build your own ideas as well. But he was a big influence, certainly, on the way I trained at the start, and probably because of that, a result in the fact that I'm still training in a similar sort of way. But like, we're not the same people. It's impossible to be the same person. And we're fortunate that 13 years in, we've now got I'd say our own style. But it wasn't just Nick. It wasn't just Nicky. My time at Nicky's was really and truly the first 3 or 4 years. I was taught by Corky Brown, his head lad, all about the ins and outs of day-to-day life of a racehorse, how to keep it healthy, injuries, ailments, all the rest of it. And he was second to none. He was an incredible man. Or is an incredible.
Sunday edition listeners wouldn't forgive us if we didn't give you a chance to have a rattle through of your horses that are at the festival and what chance they've got.
We'll run somewhere between 14, 15 horses, I think. If I was to give you maybe 2 or 3 that I think are particularly well or in the right side of the handicap, I'd probably say Handstands on Tuesday in the Ultima. He'll go very well, I think. He's got top weight to carry or near top weight, but I believe him to be a graded horse in a handicap. Diva Luna on Friday will go very well in the Mayor's Chase. That's a very competitive race. Probably Mondwee Boy would have a great shout in the Albert Bartlett, I think. And then there are others that are well fancied in the markets, but probably not as good a prices now because they're probably a bit short. But nice horses, and obviously culminating with the main man Jukebox on Friday in the Gold Cup, which will mean a lot to everyone involved with the yard.
So what is his chances?
Jukebox?
Yeah.
I wouldn't swap him. He's in great order. He looks $1 million. I personally think he'll relish the trip and the track, but it's by no means, going to be an easy assignment. It's an incredibly competitive Gold Cup. It's a shame Galopin de Champs isn't in the race because I think he just brings a level of sort of prowess to the race because he's a 2-time winner, obviously. Whether or not he was at his best, I don't know. It would have been lovely to have him in the race, I think, for everyone associated with the sport. He's not. And, there's some other very, very good horses. Obviously, Fact File hasn't been supplemented, but you've got, Gaelic Warrior, Django By, Haiti Calor, Grey Dawning. I know the way you're thinking. Last year's winner seems to be back being back like it's back to its best. I mean, that would be almost Lazarus coming back, because he's had not the greatest season, but JP and his team have managed to get other horses back for the festival, which might have looked a little bit wayward throughout the season, so it wouldn't be surprising. And so all in all, there's probably 6 or 8 horses that could win it, and it's going to be tough, but we're delighted to have the horse in the form he's in, and obviously coming off the back of the King George, his confidence is up.
And how is his owner? Harry Redknapp. How's he feeling? We've got an interview with him this morning, saying he can't stop dreaming about it. Is he on the phone every 5 minutes asking how he's looking?
Hopefully he's listening to this, and then he'll know that he went well this morning. I haven't actually spoken to him this morning, but I speak to him most days. Listen, we all know what Harry is. Harry is a huge enthusiast. He's an enthusiast for racing, but he's an enthusiast of life. He's a very well known gentleman in this country, and he's a superstar with it. We couldn't have a better relationship. I love training for him. He's a superb competitor. You know, he likes to be competitive. So, you know, we're going there with a chance, but he's not unrealistic. He knows how hard it's going to be. But we all want to win. But we couldn't have a better relationship. But there's a strong correlation between owners with good horses and getting on well. You know, it's amazing when you've got nice horses for people how much easier it is to train for them. So
it is
for Harry. So it's good. It's good. It's been a good few years for us with Harry. Yeah.
Ben Pauling, thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck for the Cheltenham Festival.
No worries. Thanks, Shaun. All the best.
Cheers. Top man, Ben, isn't he?
He is, and obviously one of his 4 Cheltenham Festival winners in the past was Shake 'em Up Harry, which I imagine is what some Spurs fans are.
Yeah, it all comes back to football. I saw you writing down your tips there, though, from Ben there.
Well, I just jukebox likes a track, which kind of what it says on the tin. So yeah,
and you can hear every race from the festival live across the talkSPORT network. Now you can enjoy complete coverage of the Cheltenham Festival as well on Racing TV, the only channel showing every race live. Racing TV are live on air from 9:45 a.m. every day of the festival, with over 32 hours of unmissable coverage. Join Racing TV for half price for an entire year. Head to racingtv.com/half-price now. And to celebrate, Racing TV is giving away a pair of tickets to Grand National Day at Aintree. Go to talksport.com/win to enter. 18 plus, T's and C's apply. You're listening to Sunday Edition, and to finish, we look at the rest of the FA Cup games today.
Chicky, you must have won hell of a beat the big cockerel. Honestly, the big cockerel. Sages by the stadium. There's that signing. Where is he? Can you here's that signing? You must have won hell of a beat the Morgan Gibbs White signing. What happened to that one? Where's he gone? Can you me Morgan's White? You must have won hell of a beat to the Williams signing. Big Edge. Big Edge. Do me a favour. Can you me Big Edge? You must have won hell of a beat Big Edge. AJ Tracy. Seven Sisters train station. Adele. 3-point lane. There is to do. Jamie Horror. You must have won hell of a beating. Ticking. Adele. Ticking. Adele. Ticking.
All right.
Ticking. Adele. You must have won hell of a beating.
Crestfallen.
Adele.
I'm crestfallen.
Ticking. Adele.
Hello.
Ticking. Adele.
Hello.
Ticking. Adele.
Hello.
Ticking. Adele.
Hello.
All right.
Adele.
Come on.
Adele.
Spurs.
Hello.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? It's the worst Tottenham side I've ever seen in the Premier League. It's the worst team I've ever seen ever.
This is Sunday edition on talkSPORT, and before we get into today's FA Cup fixtures, listen up, because we're sending two of you to the British Grand Prix on Sunday, July 5th, with the full Racing Green trackside experience. Forget the general admission, you're getting exclusive grandstand seats plus inner track access to watch the drivers roll into the paddock. And we've got the whole day sorted with all-day street food, a fully open bar and more. It's the ultimate British Grand Prix, completely on us.
And here's how to enter. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 418 7260. Lines closed 20th of March 2026 at 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So, for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now.
We've had loads of texts and WhatsApps this morning as we've had a lot of talk about FA Cup. Minty from Bedford says, morning chaps, very good show and discussion points, very refreshing to hear Carol, that was Shanahan, talk about Port Vale and their role in the community. Really refreshing to know that a football club takes such a proactive and important position. Also encouraging to hear two female club owners, that was because we had Carolyn Radford on, before that, in key roles on FA Cup Day and International Women's Day. It's actually, yes, it is International Women's Day, but we would have had Carolyn and Carol on anyway, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
They're very influential people in football, whether they're women or not.
But it's a very important point, both of them made about the sort of the community club element to their football clubs. And we've seen this in recent years. I mean, I help out with the EFL on their sort of community judging panel. And when you look at the sort of dossier that is bigger than a dossier that comes through of the work that the 72 clubs, it is very humbling. The work that they all did in lockdown, you know, whether it was Plymouth Argyle sort of actually having the NHS into the stadium was huge.
Indeed. Right, we've got three FA Cup ties to rattle through quickly. Fulham v Southampton is at midday. FA Cup fifth round, talkSPORT 2. Commentary from Alex Crook and former Chelsea defender Scott Minto. Big for Fulham, this, I think.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of their season, in terms of Marco Silva's career, some of their players as well. Southampton, 4 points off the playoff. Next season, they're currently in 8th place. They'll be fine. Where are you on that?
It's fine. I haven't got any big feelings about it either way. I think it adds a little bit to the season, doesn't it? It means you're always involved in something, whether it's relegation or promotion. Port Vale v Sunderland, as we mentioned earlier on, is 1:30. That's on talkSPORT, presented by Adrian Durham. Commentary Joe Shannon and former Aston Villa captain Andy Townsend. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I know you've got a downer on Sunderland, so you'll be sitting there with your Robbie Williams T-shirt on and come on Port Vale.
But
Sunderland fans will be there in force. Be interesting to see the team line-up that he chooses. Guarantee a great atmosphere.
I think Sunderland will be expecting to win it, and it is a great opportunity for them, that game today. 4:30, Leeds v Norwich, presented by Adrian Durham again. Commentary from Adam Bridge and former Liverpool midfielder Charlie Adam. Leeds-Norwich could be quite spicy, this one.
Well, Leeds sort of have sold players to Norwich down the years. I think one or two of their sort of captains have moved between the clubs. There's a link there. But what a job Clement has done.
No, but he got such a hard time when he was at Rangers.
Yeah. But he has a certain sort of authority to him. Talking to Norwich fans, they absolutely love him, and he's got them out of trouble and mid-table.
And Daniel Farker at Leeds has recovered in a sense when everybody was sort of seeming
half-time at the Etihad
he was going to go.
Yeah, and it's important that promoted clubs make a fight of it and actually do try and stay up.
Well, he is making a bit of a fight of it sometimes, not quite the way I would like, because he's a bit of example sometimes about the ill discipline I was mentioning before.
Yeah, it's a fair
Guardiola.
point.
It's creeping in. I know you support it, but I don't.
It's a fair point, but you would rather have Leeds United's spirit and the home atmosphere than Tottenham Hotspur's at the moment, because that's the fight between those four clubs.
But do you not think we've got a bit of an issue with managers calling it on with?
Yeah.
Perhaps if they weren't allowed to walk onto the pitch at the end of games, it's become a thing now when managers automatically walk onto the pitch, so they are going to.
That's what they do. If they go and make a beeline for the referee to have a go at the referees, I've been writing about this for years, having talked to referees. It's disrespectful. It undermines the referees. Also undermines the manager themselves.
Indeed.
They should not be doing that.
However,
so have a campaign.
Leeds v Norwich. Who's going to win that then?
Oh, probably Leeds.
Yep. I think it's good for them as well in the FA Cup, because I don't believe they'll go down. So go on, Leeds. Give it a bit of a go. Anyway, that's it. Thanks to Carol and Ben, who are our guests this morning. Up next, it's the warm-up with Max Rushton and Barry Glendenning.
Has the hiring of Edu destabilised the best season in a generation at Nottingham Forest? And how much responsibility does Evangelos Marinakis have to take for it? We understand that he's been told to stay away from the City ground, pending a termination of his contract at the end of the season. I know that Forest fans will be reluctant to criticise Marinakis, but is this a mess of his own making? Because he had a manager who was very successful, almost took them to the Champions League. He started to interfere, and all of a sudden they ended up dropping down eventually into the Europa League, but then they lost to Nuno Espirito Santo very quickly. So is this got to be on Marinakis' shoulders?
Of course it is. And do you blame Nuno Santo when you've got a sporting director coming in and probably not giving you a say on any players that you're bringing in? What do you expect as a manager? And if you speak to the older generation of managers, they'll say, what? Someone's telling me what players